So in 2013, I went to my first burner adjacent event. I say burner adjacent because it's not an official regional, which is fine, but it was a burner event that happened in the region. So freeform, I went with my friends and I was really nervous, which is crazy because I'd been involved in the arts. I'd done dance and theater and music, so it's not like I'd never been on stage expressing myself, but all of a sudden I was in this completely new environment with beautifully strange and wonderful people, and I get there, I'm like, I don't even know where to begin, and I'm walking around with my friends, and all of a sudden, in front of, I think it was the Bangarang bus, I see a burner called Debbie Arsenault, right? Yes. Oh yeah, snaps and bubbles are definitely appropriate. If you're feeling the story, blow bubbles, snap your fingers. And I see Debbie Arsenault in front of the Bangarang bus, and she is hosting karaoke, because that's what she does, in addition to a lot of other things. And so it's like, oh great, this is my in, this is what I do. So I went and I sung one song. I sung Purpose from Avenue Q, which was kind of meta, because at the moment I was really trying to find out like my purpose for being there, my purpose in life, my purpose for everything. And then she was like, you want to do a duet? And before I knew it, I lost myself in karaoke at Freeform. And it was kind of amazing and beautiful in front of the Bangarang bus with the Mr. Castle right there. And just like, what, right, the castle, oh, the castle. And before I know it, we're off, right? Off to the races. It's like, what can we do next? What can we create and experience next? At some point, I end up there with a friend of mine I had danced with, and we're in front of the Mischief Castle, spontaneously choreographing a modern routine, and then sharing it with people to the music that's playing. Like, I was a dance major in college, and it was the first time I'd really danced in years, because I got really comfortable behind the desk, not gonna lie. So just the whole weekend of just finding myself again, and finding my art again, and finding my community again. And so I get back to work, which was still a creative endeavor. And I was working at the Torpedo Factory Art Center at the time as the marketing director. I'd been there for a couple months, which was only a couple months longer than the current director was there. There was only a staff of 7. And I get back there, and at this point I was so realigned with my own frequency, my idea of community and values. And so this organization was its own community, this own set of values, right? And you can always tell the values of a community by how it treats its members. And so something that had been kind of percolating but hadn't really manifested really did that week. I get a message from a friend and they're like, hey, we saw there's a job opening at the Torpedo Factory. Mind you, there were only 7 people there, one of whom was the events coordinator. This job description was for an events assistant. But in the description, it didn't say they reported to the coordinator. No, it said they reported to the director. And we realized that, one, they didn't mean to post that job description. 2, it meant that either she was getting demoted or she was getting fired. Big red flag, right? This is one of the staff members that had been there the longest, and all of a sudden a director who'd only been there twice as long as me, 4 months, was getting ready to fire her. So we start looking into the budget, which he hadn't given us for months, of like asking for staff meetings. And we just thought that was kind of like, okay, maybe it's not ready to share it. But when we finally did, we saw not only did it get rid of her position, but 2 others. They mentioned that there are only 7 people on staff. He was getting ready to fire half the staff, right? And it was just kind of like, why? There were so many questions, and I was not feeling well with this. I wasn't feeling sure of how I could, what that meant about, again, the community this organization valued, right? And so we get to the day it happens, and he fires 3 people, and then he calls me into the office. I should say, I already had my 2 weeks notice prepared in my pocket. And he pulls me into the office and he says, oh, you know, you probably saw that we let go of some people because we were gonna restructure. I'm like, yeah, you let go of some people. One of them came crying into my office because she'd been here for years, and you gave her no warning, no heads up, no reasoning, and she was the assistant who basically made everything work that you don't know what you're doing. I didn't say that. Not only did he let me know that he fired some people, but he was like, so we'd like you to take on some additional things other than communications, and we're going to give you a little raise because we have money now because we fired people. He didn't say that. But what I did say was, I appreciate it, but I don't feel like this is what I came here to do, and I feel like I need to figure that out, and that someone else might better fit this for you. Again, I should mention I had no plan. I hadn't been applying for jobs. I had just come back from Freeform, and I was so aligned with just this vibe that whatever vibe was there was not something I wanted to be a part of. Like in my soul and as a person, I didn't feel like I could honor them or myself by working there. And so I gave him my 2 weeks, and he said, you know, can you tell me why? I was like, I'm not sure I'm ready to articulate that, but I just know this is the right decision for me. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have quit my job. Well, after that happened, I went on a walk with another artist who happened to live in the art space lost, Rachel, who doesn't live there anymore. And it was Thursday, so we were walking to CVS because we had like extended studios. Before I even get back to the building, the director had emailed me and said, I saw you walk out. Don't bother coming back today or tomorrow. And instead of, yeah, shock and awe. But it kind of just reaffirmed my decision not to be there. Like, I had already done what I thought was my due process, right? I turned my 2 weeks. That's what you do, right? And that wasn't enough. And it just kind of reaffirmed that wasn't the place I wanted to be at. Not with that kind of leadership, not with those values. And so, I'm not saying that I wouldn't have quit my job if I hadn't gone to Freeform, but I certainly had a sense of inner peace and confidence in my own inner resources, right? That I don't think I had to the degree I had after Freeform. And so, they say never quit your job after a burn, right? But I didn't quit my job. I just restarted my life. Thank you.